Reports, experts' opinions, and stakeholders' analysis. Today on ATM Blowout, the first point of call is on Anchor's chat. Estate Chairman blasts Governor Abiodun over palliative distribution.
In Imo State, we have women show massive support for Governor Uzodimma's re-election.
Still in Southeast, Ohaneze plans to meet Tinubu over Nnamdi Kanu's release.
From Delta State, Niger Delta Group condemns protest against NNPCL boss.
Still in Niger Delta, group says pipeline surveillance notes party warn ex-agitators.
Still in Niger Delta, we have COAS charged troops to eradicate operations of economic vandals.
And in FCT, police force indict policemen extorting from Nigerians.
From the human rights, we have Serap advises NAS to reject social media regulation bill.
On Interior Ministry, officers' promotion by writing exams is not sufficient, coming from Tunji Ojo. A resource person on the show this morning is Honorable Nawuke. He is a publisher of Port Harcourt Telegraph, a politician, of course, one-time House of Rep member, and of course, serves as commissioner at different capacities. Stay with us. We'll come back to you after the break on Anchor's chat. welcome back to ATM Blowout, and it's time for Bestseller and I to bring you Anchor's chat. I better believe me when I say this to you that today on Anchor's chat it may not be surprising to some of you, but it's kind of brought me to a level of revelry that I'm wondering, what exactly does this mean? Okay, in Ogun State, a man who happened to be an estate chairman said he was in his house. And then the team who were distributing the palliative brought him, I think it's a quarter bag of rice. I'll bring you the video shortly. And then according to him, there are over 100 houses in that estate. And then he was told that bag. Sorry, I'm trying to make this whole thing easy. And he was told that bag of rice he's carrying on his hand is for the whole estate. So the man in anger took it out on Governor Abiodun and warned him that if he doesn't want to give palliative, he should keep it and stop insulting people. We'll bring you that video. We'll come back to this conversation.
Black, I want to say, I am the chairman of Shokaye. For now, I am the chairman Shokaye CDA. And I was just at home now, and they brought this for me as palliative for the whole of Shokaye estate. In this estate, we have 147 houses with families and tenants living there. I'm confused now. I don't know how to share this for 147 households in Shokaye estate. If you guys, the government, I'm talking to Dakwa Abiodun now. If you people know you cannot do something, don't do it. We are not hungry. We are not beggars. So we don't need your rice as palliative. This is not even one bag. This is not up to an eighth of a bag of rice. So èmi ala kin gbé rice padà kó bá mi gbé lọ fún Dàpọ̀ Abíọ́dún kó gbé padà sí ọ̀gá ẹ̀ Tinubu tó rán kó gbé fún àwọn ọmọ wọn à ń ṣe lébi Ọlọ́run ò dẹ̀ ní ṣe wálé lébi. So that is it. We don't need this rice. If you want to give us palliative, don't insult us. This is an insult. Shokaye Estate refused to be insulted. God bless you. Black, I want to...
Okay, so, this man, there are two angles to this, honestly, let's be realistic right now. He finished by saying, he started in English, took it to Yoruba, just in case someone didn't understand it.
Yes.
Bottom line, he said, we don't need this thing. Keep it for yourself. Let me start from there. If you don't need it, people just gently reject it.
You know, they brought it to his house.
Yeah.
You know, so, and maybe as at that time, he didn't understand what it was, or maybe he was thinking it's just for him.
It's written, you know, in the video, it's written on it, and do not sell palliative Ogun State.
Okay, maybe probably for the video he wanted to make. Maybe that was why he accepted it.
I don't know. I don't know, honestly, I don't know. The thing is, you could have just... You know, sometimes we make a mountain out of a molehill. You know, sometimes it's not really necessary. You can just, when the people brought it, maybe he wasn't around, someone received it on his behalf.
Okay.
And now, it may not actually be for the whole estate. Well, maybe he has done his investigation. I'm not in Ogun State, I wouldn't know. But let's even assume that this was given to the whole estate of over 100 homes. And he decides to say, we don't need this. You can just return it and say, let it be known that we didn't receive any palliative from the government and all of that. Then you return it, find a way to return it to the people. But the anger, I don't know if the anger is as a result of everything that Nigerians are going through right now.
I think he has the right to be angry.
Do you think so?
Yes, he has absolutely 100% right to be angry.
Why?
If that got to you, I expect you can't be smiling. You definitely would have been in that state. No one will pick up that bag and take it cool.
Bestseller, if I'm not hungry, if I can afford rice, and you bring that to me, first and foremost, I'll turn it down. There are things we shouldn't dissipate our energy on. If that Abiodun, you're the estate chairman, if that Abiodun feels like they brought some grain to the state and he doesn't want to distribute it properly, At some point, either he's running for one election or the other, or his party is going to run. There's a way to treat politicians when you come. You just know that these are the things you did, and you just know that this one is not a serious-minded person. But again, what is the number? What was the number of residents in Ogun State? How many of the? What's the number of bag of grains that was released by the government of Nigeria?
Yeah.
Because these are the questions. You're thinking of your estates, where I'm not saying that this is fair or that is right. It's insulting if you want to look at it critically. But sometimes let's remove ourselves from the picture. How many homes are there in Ogun State? How many families are there in Ogun State? He lives in an estate. Clearly, he lives in the urban area. Did he think about those in the rural areas? Who would see this as a big deal? Again, I understand all of this challenge. So did he provide logistics for transportation services, for instance, like the River State governor did? What are some of the things he has done to alleviate or ameliorate the sufferings of the people? So if price is not your problem, that's okay. You can return it and then demand for what is really your problem. I do not think that the governor is aware that this is the bag of rice that was given to such home. I don't know the man. He doesn't even know I exist maybe, but I doubt that he's aware that this is what his people did. So sometimes when we attack the system, we should also understand that we're attacking ourselves. Because right now, you are making it look like, because we always say about politicians are bad people, so we make it look like, okay, they are bad people, let's shoot all of them. This could be an error from those who are distributing it. I don't think any person would look at a number of people okay, let's even say is one person per home. Instead of 140 something homes in the estates. So you mean that in 140 something homes, even if you were to give that to just one person in those homes, it still doesn't make sense. You understand what I'm trying to say? I believe that as a leader in his community, just like the governor is leading this state, there are responsibilities that are tied to us. When the people are lamenting or doing things like that, those who have grown to that level should have a way to manage this. Not be everything we're going to shout. Sometimes we use our adult sense, manage situations. I believe that there are better ways he could have communicated this and that, other than bringing Ogun State to the public to say, there could be other people who got better palliatives. How about that? And now, how did he even sit down he's just looking at his estate. What about the millions of people who live in Ogun State? What have they gotten? Because he also going to get this palliative. So I honestly think that irrespective of the fact that we need to criticize government and all of that when they do something wrong, but at some point too, let's use our hammer on the right nail so that when we hit, the impact will be felt by everyone, so that the governor sees that, what was the governor to do? The video was viral. Yeah, he sees it and he queries who did that. He's not going to sack anybody. He just says, okay, go back and make up distributions if there is more. But if there is not, they don't have more, there's nothing anybody can do about it. Take back the right. Some people will be glad to receive it. I mean, that's what I think.
Well, I really dazzled regarding the stance you took on this because I never saw it coming. I would rather react on the other way,
It's not every time we'll be on the side of the people.
Okay, no problem. But I don't know if you've ever witnessed maybe in church or in any occasion where you have people serving. They are supposed to serve food and all that. I don't know if there's particularly something wrong with these people where people distribute things because over time, my experience so far, I've never seen maybe in a church where there is one occasion or the other, or in a party or occasion where these people who serve, they lack the proper, I don't know if I should say the proper sense, or the logistics to man the people who are there and make sure it is properly distributed.
Yeah, so if we're putting this blame, I agree with you.
Yes.
But this blame shouldn't go to those who just. Let's take it back to the federal government.
I'm coming. I'm just taking this. I'm trying to take this, as a scenario. All right. So now, severally, you get to see them. They could start properly. They could start well, but along the line, you see that they start missing people, and before you know what's happening, the whole thing is gone, and then the rest of them get to just have peanuts. All right, so that's by the way. Now, if you're like saying that the governor obviously is not even aware the way these things were distributed, how about this, that it's also possible? It's also possible because there's everything is possible. It's also possible that they have taken a number for themselves and they just brought this, few of them, few quantities, and said this is what we have for the, but just for the, let it just be on record that we've done this. So it's possible. I believe the state chairman, and that possibly could have been given for the whole estate. And on a more serious, he's supposed to cement across the government. And that's just what could believe he, because no United States, if they have people, low income people there, they just give it out. And of course, I'm sure that, and I believe that reaction was necessary.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. So now if we let's bring Dr. Biodun's head to the table and chopping block and chop it.
Okay.
So now what do we do to the federal government? In the distribution of the palliative, one of the things that would raise alarm about is, for instance, you're giving 2 billion to Osun State and giving 2 billion to Lagos State, or 2 billion to Rivers State or Kano State and all of that. Okay, they said it's 5 billion, and they've distributed about 2 billion to each state intermittently. They will give the rest. So the question here is this. And then we're giving, I think, 120,000 bags of grain or something. I've not seen these bags, or we just saw it in the news. We just read it in the news. What are the number of people? What is the wisdom in that initiative in the first place? When you say this, I think this confusion is coming up because they didn't target maybe the grassroots, the rural areas. Those who do not have daily jobs that they can run around, who don't live in the city or in the urban areas where they could run around and make little ends meet, even if they are artisans. Okay? So now, when you begin to make such distributions, and you didn't consider the fact that, what are the number of residents in each state? So you know what's the proportional measure for per each of these states. So you just distribute these things and just 36 states and FCT to 2 billion, this number of bags of grain. What was it going to do? This is what was going to happen. It is not those who brought it to his house.
Okay.
We can sit down here and conclude that, some persons, they may have kept some things for themselves. Of course, because in the past, we see these people hoarding these things. And then some of it go to waste. But let's even assume that they are transparent enough to say, we are going to distribute everything we got. There was no way everyone is going to get a proper measure of 2 cups of rice each. That is me even to say 2 cups.
You mean the whole 2 billion put into sharing?
No. They sent, I'm looking at the grains.
The grains, no.
The governor, I don't know what they are doing with the money. The bags of grain they sent, some were rice, some were maize and all of that. We saw a video some time ago where, I don't know, but I know it was a Muslim community because of their dressing.
Yes.
It was a video trended online where they were dragging, in the course of distribution of palliative, they were dragging, an old woman fell, and it was such a sore sight. But again, who could have known what would happen? I agree that, so if we're going to blame the governor, if we're going to blame the states or the distributors at the state level or at the grassroots, let's take it back to the government of the federation. Because every time you bring up a policy, and this policy is not well thought out, and this policy is not articulated to the point where every step of the way is measured, at least to a reasonable extent, these are the things you're going to see. That it has Ogun State written on it doesn't mean that it is Ogun State that provided that. I'm sorry that they had that experience. I know it makes someone feel bad, but again, I still maintain that when you cross a certain age, when you have lived to a certain age, there are certain things that is expected of you. He is a community leader. He is a leader in his own right. You understand? If the way he's reacting, everybody around him begins to react, there's going to be chaos. Someone is going to get hurt. You want to begin to protest because they didn't distribute the rice or whatever they were meant to give. You felt insulted. Oh, yeah, so fling it to them. Don't make a more mountain out of a molehill. There are major things you can hold the governor responsible for. For instance, your mates are providing logistics. What are you doing to ensure that the people in the city or this estate that will have a boss and you're bringing us this from? We don't need this, you know, that kind of thing. So don't make it look like it is the man who is in your state as a governor that started this. It is a process that wasn't well thought out, and then the president and his team just decided to say, okay, let's even start doing something. Let's even start, show that we're doing something. I believe that if the Tinubu government had had the time to remove subsidy at his own time, like planned it out, I want to believe that with the crop of men he has in office, I want to believe that to a large extent, they would have done better job in managing the process of removing subsidy so that we will not be in this quagmire that we all find ourselves. But that notwithstanding, while it's annoying that it's not just the Tinubu government, the average Nigerian federal government administration don't really think of policies out. They don't articulate it properly. They just sometimes just announce this thing and in as much as we want to blame them for the next 100 years, we must also realize that as citizens, we are not taking responsibility. And this is why these people will come into office and they will continue to do the same thing. If, for instance, this man, this estate chairman, looks at what had happened, now run an intel, find out what happened in other communities, in other estates around. What did you guys get? What did you guys get? And they discover that this is the process of distribution. And then they write a letter, for instance, to the local government chairman and begin to demand to say, this is what has happened, this is what has happened. We expect you to explain to us how this got to this point. This is an aberration to imagine that we have to send this to us as palliative. Other states are doing this. What is going on? You know, that kind of a thing.
That sounds like a good approach.
Now, the conversation can begin to go through the normal process. Then the local government can now, maybe the chairman can now begin to approach the governor after his own investigation to say, we cannot continue to tear ourselves apart and assume that it's those leaders that we are tearing apart. There are circumstances that I believe we can manage better and it will come out better for everyone will benefit properly from it. But we are angry Nigerians, so it's understandable.
If people will do what you said, I think people will take that approach anyway.
But we need to begin to think. Yeah, we must criticize government. That's our role in the office of the citizen. But while we criticize, we must also have a proper knowledge of what we are asking, what we are talking about per time, so that when they listen to us, they take into account that they are leading people with a healthy grain matter in their head. But whenever they listen to us and all we are bringing to the table is being angry Nigerians and just lamenting and shouting without proffering solution or suggesting what you want, for instance, you could have taken this about a minute plus or 90 seconds to say, please, see this road into this estate. It's been bad for quite some time. If you can fix this for us, I believe the logistics can be, the transportation around here can get to become easier for and all of that. There are certain things we can begin to raise as awareness. We've not had power for a long time. This is what is the issue. We can afford rice, not many of us, but we can manage what we have and all of that. So the governor doesn't see you as an enemy, but he sees you as a constructive critic who is bringing something to the table. Sometimes they may even come and sit down with you to gist with you because they know that there is something that can come out of this person.
That's
but
correct.
if you always boom, 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 like every Nigerian kind of thing, I mean, that's what you can do. And Costa to come back to you after the break, everyone. All right, welcome back to ATM Blowout, everyone. And we have live in the studio a veteran journalist and the publisher of Port Harcourt Telegraph, a one-time House of Rep member, and of course, one that's held several political positions in Rivers State. That's none other than a very own Honorable Obonnawuke. Good morning and welcome to ATM Blowout.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
You're welcome, sir. Good morning, sir.
And now, everyone, let's take off from Imo State. So women from Okigwe zone in Imo State over the weekend held peace rally in support for Governor Hope Uzodimma's re-election at Angara Isiala Mbano local government area. One of the rally convener, Mrs. Gloria Kabundo, national coordinator and CEO of the new Partnership for Africa's Development, in speech said, "The essence of this rally is to tell you that women want peace. We are grateful at your giant stride, sustenance of all the numerous projects you have put in place. We stand here in unity. And of course, to tell you that we do not want insecurity, war, disharmony. All the women has agreed to support your re-election in peace." In turn, Governor Uzodimma said, "I'm a man of peace. I don't support violence. There are some people pursuing me, but they will never get me. I have asked them to come out from the bush and support me. I believe in God. Nobody will ever be governor if God does not support him. And I know my God is with me. Support me to open up the communities, end poverty, continue on our good infrastructural development." As also former governor of the state, Chief Ikedio Hakim said, "I appeal to the women to vote for Uzodimma. Okigwe wants totality and not majority because totality is greater than majority." He said Okigwe is the oldest province today. Today, Uzodimma has gotten 100%. I assure you he will come back to greet Okigwe people after his re-election. He said, vote for him. As a governor for approximately 4 years, Hope Uzodimma had the opportunity to have had some form of intervention, visited at least all the nook and cranny of Imo State, even though he's not able to deliver on some expected democratic dividends. But now that it's got some giant strides, politically speaking, is there no other way a governor can actually genuinely prepare for a re-election other than doing this usual doing this usual activity during the re-election period?
I think that first, in order to do great deeds, you need to have peace. And I think against the background of what has transpired in the Southeast, it's clear that those women were communicating, they were making a statement. They were saying we could do more as a state, as a people, if we have peace. And Uzodimma had become a symbol of that peace. Because throughout his 4 years, he has had a fight. Everybody knows that now. There have been attempts to burn his house in the village. There have been killings on the streets of Owerri, a jailbreak, all kinds of things. And sometimes I wonder what you expect somebody to do if you don't create the appropriate atmosphere. Now, a demand for self-rule, some kind of self-rule, had graduated into something else, where heads have been cut off, humans have been dismembered, all kinds of things in the name of freedom. So I can understand the passion of those women, and those women are mothers. Some of their children may have been affected by the sit at home. They can't go to school. They can't do business. So, and getting to the bend, we are beginning to see that regardless of what happened these past 4 years, there was an attempt by Uzodimma to provide infrastructure. That's visible. He may not have done it at a level that we have accomplished in Rivers State. But the point is some desire, some determination to achieve results. And I believe that, answering you directly, these things you are referring to, these activities, there's a season for these activities, and the season is here, so, and everyone, at the end of the tunnel,
all right,
participation.
Okay, to every political office, the holders always look forward to a second term. And then it begins to look like they don't really pay attention to the core of the reasons why they're in office till it gets to the second term, and they begin to use that to campaign. Is that correct?
I don't think so. First, let's tell ourselves the truth that politics involves management of humans and resources. And of course, challenges on the way. Funds are usually scattered to autonomies, and so you have to prioritize, So, yes, part of the problem is that we pursue too many programs in this country or in the developing world, such that you have a near success syndrome. Things are, you take something to this point, you can't do the end, you stop it, you move in this direction, you're moving. That's the kind of kick and follow football that we have when you're looking at it from a political perspective, because it's best, in my view, if you could just take a few priorities and go for them. And then thereafter say, look, we have achieved this in the last 4 years, we can move in the next 4 years in this direction. But you know that ruling people shouldn't be a case of popularity. But when you chase popularity too, sometimes you can be overburdened by it.
All right, thank you very much. Now, when we talk about Hope Uzodinma and his activities gearing towards the end of his first tenure and hoping to be re-elected in office, these women, one of the things, salient points they raised was the need for peace. It was a peaceful rally, not a protest, and their call was basically continuity, that he has thrown his weight behind Hope Uzodinma. All of this, the collection of what the people want. Kim was saying, Okigwe needs development. Okigwe is the oldest province in Imo State. This conversation that is being had at the eve of his in the region.
Seeing Hope, we are seeing Hakim as a issue in the testimonial for Hope. And I want to assume that even though Okigwe needs more development, that some signs of Hope's influence as a governor may have been felt in Okigwe, but taking it to the max, to the zenith is what Hakim is asking for. Now, but let's say this, without taking sides for anyone, funds are at the center of what you do. And you know that we have a situation where funds are not enough. The only thing that's happening now is that because of this so-called vexatious removal of subsidy, governments are getting more money. You understand? It depends on what they are doing with it, because that itself is the greatest palliative that I think Nigerian people should be looking at. We're providing services with those funds, extra funds that are coming to state coffers. Now, a capacity of a leader, take those shocks and then move forward. Is what I look forward to as a person. And I think that we are gradually we're entering an era of some legacy. People are leaving legacies for themselves and for society. And I think they should be encouraged to do so. And I believe that, like I said, hope. There is hope in Imo State. Many years back. And that hope is here. And that hope is marching forward, asking for support at this time. If we are not absolutely necessary, the Constitution will not prescribe 2 terms. I believe that one politician, OCC many years ago, said if you write an exam and you fail, you should be given an opportunity to write again. So we should take all of this together. I believe there's something happening in the Southeast. Hope has been at the center of that effort to restrict the nuisance value of IPOP. And that's what people are looking at. These women that you're talking about, these governors that you're seeing that are coming, putting their weight behind him, he refused to be cowed by violence. And I think that he deserves. Well, that's the position that the Imo people would take, because even if I said he deserves a second term, I won't vote there. Yeah. You know, so it's the Imo people who will take that decision.
All right, thank you, sir. Let's see to the next conversation. Ohanes Ndibo Worldwide has disclosed its plan to meet with President Bola Tinubu to canvass for the release of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. Ohanese President Emmanuel Iwayamu, who disclosed this during a courtesy visit to the leadership of the Supreme Council of Nigeria Traditional Rulers, Southeast Chapter, led by the President, His Royal Majesty Eze Ifeanyi Chukwu Nwokena of Abia State. His Royal Majesty Eze Ifeanyi Chukwu Nwokena of Abia State at his Glass House Orji Oweri office complex said the planned visit to the president is centered on all issues bothering the people of the southeast geopolitical zone. Wang stated that the move to push for the release of the secessionists from the custody of the Department of State Services became necessary following the worsening security situation in the region, while some persons are using Kanu's name and his incarceration to perpetrate crimes in the region. He also said they are only after their selfish interest, adding that the continual detention is escalating insecurity in the southeast while the need for peace and stability in Igbo land, stressing that immediate release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will definitely restore sanity. This is about time. Really about time, because it's beginning to look like until this is done, some is kind of connected to the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. But to this extent, I would like to have you react.
No, well, the issue is very clear. What has happened in the town is novel in some way. Of course, in the 60s, there was an attempt to create a Biafran state. It didn't work. I recall Ojukwu saying the first war was necessary, but the second one won't be. But you see, sometimes men do what they have to do. Now, whether it is fair, they say all is fair in war. Now, for me, I'm going to approach this Kanu thing from two perspectives. One, that if this is what the East wants, regardless of what has transpired, regardless of the carnage, the human lives that have been lost, that people are making a case as if to say that Kanu is not there, there can be no peace in Igbo land. So, the Igbo intelligentsia. And so for me, seeing the president, engaging the president, is something worthwhile. The reason is that it is better that people judge than war. So if that's correct, then there is nothing wrong with the greatest sociocultural group in Igbo land, is saying, look, we want to engage the president. We want to talk about the release of our son. But I think that going side by side, they also should bear in mind, and that's the second perspective, that we cannot continue to honor those who break our laws and who put us through pain. I say that with a sense of responsibility. You probably say, okay, where were you when in the Niger Delta there was amnesty? Well, it was a case for resource control at the time. So one man's meat, another man's person. Right? Now, but taking it broadly, we shouldn't have a situation, and that's why we have a problem. You look at the Northeast, we have caught some people, we have de-radicalized them, we have reintroduced them to society. They go back again, team up with those same people, even become worse than they were when they were de-radicalized, and then cause us more harm. You understand? So I'm beginning to think that a society that can take any strong position is in danger, you know. But give and take. Kind of been up there in the can for a long time. He took my friend Asari, he was taken by the same DSS, put on the ground for a while. I think when he came out, he understood the difference. But let's say to ourselves that society is such that we must look at the greater good. You know, I think that Nigeria is one country that we almost nurture. A country of 200 million people is a great market if you are talking business now. And then if you're also talking about sovereignty and the impact that you must make in your neighborhood in West Africa, in Africa, and the world, then such a country should be encouraged. And we have everything, human resource, natural resource, you know. And we should rather canvass progress instead of division, you know. But that's by the way. For me, I just think, well, if that's what, remember, Pontius Pilate, let me end on that note. I've looked at this man, I found out this thing. Can we give you the other man? Let this man go. No, give us that other man. And then it's okay. Please get me a bowl of water. Symbolically, he washed his hands off. I think that that should be instructive for what we are discussing at this point.
All right, but we're not done with that yet. And now that's because if you look critically at the recent development, the release of Sunday Boho from the Beninese government, and that's been in the news, and I suppose IPOB militants, according to a professor of the Yoruba Nation leader, Akintoye, who said, on seeing that video, he responded to say, hey, it is not Tinubu that released Igboho. In as much as you cannot really say that that is neither, you can say that is neither here nor there, because he was there all the while Buhari was in office, and after Buhari, a few months after Buhari left, oh, a Yoruba man is in office, is out. So the tendency to give it an ethnic coloration is already there. But that notwithstanding, this call for the release of Nnamdi Kanu, as timely and as proper as it may come across. Imapawafo made a statement about a week or thereabouts ago, and it was very clear. We want referendum. We want it under UN supervision. They are not giving up on the call for cessation. They are not giving up on the call for the state of Biafra. They have not said, Nnamdi Kanu has neither said he's giving up on that. So why not Ohaneze push for Kanu's release, which we all agree? Is Ohaneze ready to also undertake that when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is released, he's not going to call for the state of Biafra again? Is Ohaneze willing to also say, because it's clear that Ohaneze is here to address the core issue that led to where Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is, which is the demand for referendum and cessation and the state of Biafra. I'd like you to react to this, please.
Oh, well, it's a bit funny, yeah. But I think that I've said that from a moral perspective, you know, I don't like to look at these arguments, you know, a lot of emphasis on ethnicism become part of the being in this country. I think that the socio-cultural group Ohaneze has probably thought it over, and they think that they're getting a holistic peace. Because if you look at what's going on in the southeast, say in places like a home base of the former Biafran leader who's dead now, you can see that people have gradually taken responsibility. They're saying we're not going to sit at home. They're saying that we need to go out there and earn some living for ourselves and our kids and do our business right. Now, all of those things, they're mixed calls coming from the southeast, but they represent one singular factor. People are tired of this passing past, you know, so they want a present that makes sense to them. Now, and I think that maybe the thinking of our nation will be, let's have something holistic, okay? So they can make their case. But, my dear, let's all realize one thing, that if the issue was the issue of a referendum, nobody's going to stop them.
Yeah, but they said the constitution is against it.
Now, listen. What you do, in my view as a former lawmaker, if the provision for a referendum does not exist under the Nigerian Constitution, it is the responsibility of lawmakers who seeing this kind of defect, we discuss this thing on the floor of the House, take a position. If the idea is injected, because of course, right to self-determination is something you cannot take away, you know. And I don't want to sound afraid or horrible, but you see this structural fight for a new country or whatever, it's also a fight for resource
control,
some level of control. And this fight for this resource, for the control of these resources, ignited the first war. Forget what they said about coups and all. It was the coming of the oil. And whoever had it, they knew that oil was going to play a key part in Nigeria. And whoever had control of it had control of power. So they went, of course, it was both for the Nigerian side, which said it was a war of unification, and for the Biafran side, which was a war of secession. Interests, resources were at the center of that fight. Now, if you are looking at it again, and if you say no, let me tell you why. I doubt there has been some consultation with the people of Rivers State. I come from Rivers. That the Rivers people believed in this struggle for IPOB. I doubt that Bayelsa believes in it. I doubt that Cross River believes in it. I doubt that Akwa Ibom believes in it. Now there's an addition. Delta. Do you understand? All these areas that we're pointing at are areas of great resource. So who says that those of us from the south side can't form a country of our own to govern ourselves? You know? So you see, there's something. I'm just about saying that if you wake up one morning and say the Igbo states want to go without these other states, I doubt there's anybody in Nigeria who will stop them. The issue is the issue of the resource and the control, you know. We talk in terms of Hausa people controlling it, Yoruba people controlling it. The same thing that Igbos want too. It doesn't just be plain, it's just that the opportunity hasn't come. You know. So let's get talking as Nigerians. Let's deal with who can create a country that all of us will be proud of. All these pockets of hate, concern, in my view, they are human. But they shouldn't be negative. There should be something, stuff that motivate us to do some more. Bring out the human in us, if not the animal in us. Because there's a difference between being human and being animal. So I think that, let's keep watching. Because it's difficult. Remember somebody vowed for Kanu when he was first arrested and granted. And you near Abaribe. And he just jumped away. And I think Perimadu too. He jumped away. And but for the nature of this country, those men would have been in trouble. You know, so that is the thing. But I don't know how Haneze can, but they can make the undertaking. It could also be political, just making the undertaking. Might also be, gentlemen, people are saying we are not doing anything, no. Well, now they see also we are talking to the government to release our son. It's all part of the game, you know. But I hope that sincerely, if Kanu's release will be secured, you should think again. You know, it's something that Gorbachev said many years back. Those who want to split or Soviet Union should think again. So those who are thinking about splitting, should think again. That's what I think. Because I'll be pained that maybe years to come, I'll get beyond Oyibo, and then in order to enter Aba, I must take a visa. You know, so I don't think it's something that we should be dreaming about. It's something that we should be looking at our strength as a people and putting on. What happens when we go abroad and all of us are Nigerians, and then we come back home? When we come back home from our sojourn abroad, we become something else. Why? What really goes on?
All right. We'll keep asking and wondering, but let's get into Niger Delta now. Such a political group known as the Niger Delta People's Assembly has condemned the protest staged by some youths in Warri Delta State, calling for the sacking of the group chief executive officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mele Kyari, over alleged misconduct and other strong allegations. The group, in a press statement signed by its national coordinator, Richard Okotie, alleged that the protest was sponsored by an unnamed for parochial interest following NNPCL's non-renewal of the pipeline surveillance contract awarded to his private consortium over non-performance. The group said Mele Kyari recently awarded pipelines rehabilitation and surveillance contracts throughout the country to a consortium of oil firms in a bid to ensure uninterrupted conveyance of crude and supply of refined product to all nooks and crannies of the country, while the objection of the unhappy king stems from the refusal of the NNPCL's GCO to renew his non-performing pipelines surveillance contract, which expired last September, adding that the first-class monarch is still days that Mele Kyari, having reviewed the said contract, refused to be used as he declined all entities. The group also alleged that crude-carrying pipelines in the areas under the monarch's control were daily compromised and vandalized by oil thieves, while he collected millions of dollars for unexecuted jobs, stressing that the era of such free money no longer exists in the current regime. You are a Niger Delta son, Honorable Wuke. Do you genuinely think that the reason why these people are complaining that the Egbeso, the Siphon guys, yesterday, they came out in the news to say, hey, you have got to split this contract. Kyari, you have to go. If you're not doing this, we have a problem with that. Do you really think that the reason why they were talking about all of this is because someone who was benefiting from it no longer benefits? Or is it really because there is need, if you pick up an agitator to say you're going to give the person a contract, other agitators too think they deserve same and that's what they are demanding? So quickly help us look at this, please.
You know, many years ago, there was the Kayama Declaration. The intention was, as much as possible, to ensure that the people of the Niger Delta region benefited from their resource. And I'm glad that on this program I also told you that quite a lot of struggles going on in Nigeria are struggles related to resource. You can see it the other day. Boy Love, shoot aside, Ateke Asari. Okay, I'm even surprised that the king hosted them, you know, because he, from the look of things, he's left this realm of militants into rulership of his people. So perhaps as a stakeholder in the Niger Delta, he thought, well, maybe let's brainstorm, let's understand your pain. That's normal for a king to do. So to that extent, I don't have harsh words for Ateke. Now this issue, you know, because I wonder, going back to that, the enthusiasm that existed many years back when the declaration was made, was it what we are seeing now of some persons who probably bought arms, thinking that this is their right, you know, to use the platform of the people that they claim to represent now for themselves, because that's what they're saying. Because it can give the consortium, there's no way, what's his name, Tompolo will operate in rivers without his men. There's no way. So if the contract is being given to one person, it's up to Tompolo to distribute it along the line. But perhaps that's giving Tompolo an edge when it comes to the region, you know. And so those who are saying those who canvass the removal of Kyari are sponsored, are equally sponsored to counter it. So let's not deceive ourselves. So just who, on what side of the fight you find yourself, you know, but all of them are doing the same thing. So for me, this is the issue. We must get back to the basics, because you see, what you see is that if these men continue to be settled, there will be more people in Niger Delta who will bear arms because they must be settled. Let me stop there.
All right. When we talk about, like we have before us, the pipeline surveillance contract, these contracts are actually supposed to be distributed well. And that is possibly why this agitation is coming to the fore. Is it not okay that government should actually look into how these things are done instead of keeping it streamlined to running on one lane of someone repeatedly holding that position?
I see that. I'm glad that growing up I covered the Niger Delta. Very glad I covered the Niger Delta, and I'm conversant with this conversation. So there's nothing wrong in government trying to find the best way forward in terms of maybe in short term, in trying to secure the free flow of oil, because oil is the lifeline of the country. We are talking about diversification, but you need this oil to diversify.
Yes.
So fine. Now the engaging these men in conversation is critical because they have become critical stakeholders themselves. Okay, it doesn't matter what we feel about them, but it's no way because when you talk, you hand them, they have voice too. And my brother, I'm sure you saw video clips and you're seeing those guns. RPGs.
They're not toys.
They are not toys, you understand? And they are making a statement, yes. My brother. But this is the life we live now. And we want a life of peace too.
Yeah.
And so whatever happens, but at the short term, because you see, until the big one came under Tompolo, most of these people were still responsible for pipeline protection. They've done it over the years. It's just like the big apple is here. Hey, and who's the big boy? And Tompolo. Hi, we're mates. So how come? So people are saying, give us that, in our territories. They're trying to restrict him to his territory.
Yes.
Now, the other ones who share the same interest in the Niger Delta struggle, are saying, look, it's like Shooter Saja in Edo. He said he has voice. He has everything. Okay? In Rivers, you have Asare. In Bayelsa, you have Boylof. And you can just keep on and on and on and on. In South Africa, there are all kinds of people, who are involved in this thing. So... But I think in order not to jeopardize what looks like an emerging environment for business in the Niger Delta, it be reasonable to talk to them.
All right, thank you, sir. Let's stick to the next conversation. This is quite similar to what we're talking about. The Conference of Civil Society Groups for Good Governance warns that pipeline surveillance is no tea party, and as such, the priority of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited is primarily to ensure a safe and secure oil infrastructure and functional pipeline corridor to sustainably deliver national production targets. The group, in a press conference on Sunday, said pipeline surveillance is not a tea party, as recent events have shown. Being an ex-militant is not enough qualification to be awarded such a critical task. There is nothing personal to the management of NNPC Limited or its CEO, Mele Kyari, rather. What is possible and best for the country. President of the group, Dominic Ogaku, in his address said, this period Nigeria's oil production has seen significant improvement through the curbing of waves of mindless theft of Nigeria's oil by criminal elements. This initiative has seen many seizures of tankers laden with illegal crude and the discovery of a 4-kilometer illegal oil connection line from Focado's terminal into the sea, which had been in operation for 9 years. Nigerians will not be wrong to believe that beneficiaries of this heinous economic crime will fight back in any way their influence can afford, as their pockets are threatened. Peddling gross misinformation and unsubstantiated allegations on oil pipeline rehabilitation, as well as surveillance contracts, has now been adopted as a weapon of choice in the hands of unpatriotic elements. Today, our country is witnessing a spike in oil production to over 1.8 million barrels per day. In addition to regaining our national position as the largest crude oil producer in Africa, ahead of Algeria's 1.021 barrel per day and Angola's 1.088 barrel per day. We urge those who are hell-bent on undermining the transformative leadership of President Bola Tinubu to have a rethink and stop the meaningless agitations and threats. Okay, this one is directly of concern to the president. The president is at the center of this, and it's like the president is the one trying to send a hard message to all of those who are trying to jeopardize what he's all for in his government. With regards to the pipeline surveillance and all of this, we are trying to have the best conversation on the issue of our oil. How do you respond?
Yeah, well, except you are saying that the civil society is gathered, to make this case were put together by the government. There is no direct tie between.
They are just a group. There is not from the presidency.
That's what I'm saying. There's no direct tie with the presidency, but you know that people are stakeholders and they have interests. Now, those interests are manifesting in this form. People are just saying, okay, we are gradually coming back. I'll give an example. I come from an oil producing zone. At Odogwa, in Eche, pipeline, that's under the Kali oil field. Pipelines have been cut here and there. Hairs owned by Lumendu and Coco bought over those from Shell. This month, they've been working on correcting those defects on the pipeline, those destructions, those leakages, okay, so that they can help push the Nigerian drive to sell oil abroad. So why am I driving? Because you see, it is of critical importance to this country that we're able to provide for our citizens. And if the source of revenue that we need to provide as citizens with good life is cut off, then the people will suffer. Okay? So I agree with those human rights or whatever they call this, civil society groups, the case they're trying to make. I also agree that government must have a human face. Okay, and so people need to do what they need to do. Okay, positively, not negatively. Now, I said on this program that there was a declaration in Kayama. There was an expectation in Kayama as the kind of life that we in the Niger Delta would live, depending on our resources. And I don't think that the whole idea was for those who bore weapons, who required our support in many ways, to become the ultimate beneficiaries of what's coming to the Niger Delta. And I wonder that if this trend continues, more people will carry weapons. Because the role models now are those who are carrying weapons. You understand? So that's the position that these people are trying to sell when they say, look, that you are a former militant doesn't give you an edge. That's simply what they're saying. Okay? And which means in terms of good governance, providing, say, interventionist groups like NDDC should get to work. I was happy when the other day NDDC was talking about creating dams. When you create dams, you create energy. And you can stop this flooding that is sacking communities. What the people want is not sharing money in people's hand, though. They want protection in the environment. They want development in the environment. Well, peanut sharing is not part of what we're thinking about, because it's short-term based and will not bring you a long-term solution. Okay? So let us in this region also, as Niger Deltans, tell ourselves plain truth that we need development. We don't need to share money. You know, it's like this palliative thing you're talking about. The real palliative lies in what you're doing. Okay, if state governments were to get 5 billion, instead of buying rice, then you look at SMEs. You have 5 billion. And who says that if the federal government gives you a token of 5 billion, that you cannot add your own money?
True.
And then you go to your areas, there are youngsters with brains, with ideas. And then you put, small businesses, 5 million, 5 million. Do you know what impact that will have? Not about carrying businessmen, no. I'm talking about people who are innovative. Wouldn't that be, for me, a better palliative in the long run, that people who are productive have been given a chance? We wake up every day, big day, when I call that program,
let's not talk about that.
No, I'm coming. I know what I'm saying.
The reality TV show, yeah.
I'm saying that if that kind of money that they are spending on that program was to be given to an innovator, won't we get a mileage out of it?
I agree.
So that's I'm not trying to deride its emphasis. Maybe it's a safe point of what we do, either as a people or as a government. But we should begin to look deeply at those things. Of course, you know that after the Second World War, there was a Marshall Plan. And not many people who got money under the Marshall Plan performed. But if you spend 100% and then you get at least 40-45% results, you cannot say that you didn't do well, because there's a multiplying part. Those who have these businesses will recruit more hands, they will enhance their production, and those goods, those services will get to the people, maybe at a cheaper rate, that we should begin to think, because this tokenism, that's the problem we have. You're talking about government, you personify it.
All right, let's quickly look at something else before we leave the Niger Delta. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, direct troops to go after economic vandals and saboteurs in the Niger Delta region and completely eradicate their activities. In a statement to defense correspondent in Abuja by the Director of Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Nyema Wachukwu, in the marching order, General Lagbaja said, go after economic saboteurs and ensure they are completely stamped out. General Lagbaja, in the statement, reiterated the federal government's main focus on economic recovery, security, and infrastructural development. He further said that Nigeria cannot experience meaningful economic recovery without having a firm grip on the oil industry, underscoring the critical role troops play in securing the nation's oil industry. He also charged the gallant troops to be loyal, disciplined, and committed to their constitutional responsibilities, emphasizing that their loyalty is first to the Constitution and government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He further emphasized that he wants to continually receive positive feedback about the troops of the 6th Division throughout the period of the Still Waters 3rd. So every time I hear the Nigerian army or the Nigerian military talk about go after, I'm trying to be professional, someone said. But every time I hear them say this, I think they are actually throwing a direct insult to Nigerians. And here is the reason. The Chief of Army Staff, Taoreed Lagbaja, cannot come to Nigerians and you're telling junior officers to go after the troops. And TTM, the man at the center of this whole Niger Delta agitators and all of that issue, came out here, gave names to the Nigerian government. These are the people who are behind oil thefts. The Navy, we know, mans our waters. So in essence, if the Chief of Army Staff genuinely wants to go after this, is it for him to send the junior officers, or is it for him to go to his colleagues who are actually running the oil cabal in the name of oil theft, and then come out? What is? How long are we going to be reading all of this in the news, if you may? I mean, it's blowout, but let's also try to see how we can get this out there.
It's blowout. And
yeah,
the army chief tried to blow out.
And I don't remember. don't forget also that the former governor of Rivers State, on more than one occasion, when it comes to oil bunkering and oil theft, pointed a direct finger at the Nigerian military. Up till today, he's out of office. Nobody has dared to challenge former Governor Nyesom Wike to say, you said this. He doesn't have immunity. So when this information, this conversation are all over the place. So when he comes out to say, be disciplined, who is he talking about going after?
Oh, well, maybe there's an attempt to rebrand the army.
Why don't they start by telling us the truth?
No,
Tantita has given a list.
Now, look, Asari made that comment recently too, when he said the army, the police, the navy, you just name them, even civil defense, they're all involved. And if you go to these oil communities where they're cooking this oil, crude.
Where the boys are earning a living.
I don't know about that, but maybe they are. But I don't know whether they're investing too, because it won't last forever.
Okay.
Now, this thing that I'm just saying is that it's obvious that everybody knows there's no way you can pass our waters, Nigerian waters, without support. There's no way an oil tanker coming to do illicit business in Nigeria will pass through, get into Nigerian waters without being spotted. So it shows you how this whole mafia, the oil mafia works, and that the military men, that in short, when I use the military, the army, I'm talking about the entire military, that they are involved in this stealing is not in doubt.
So, Honorable, if the Nigerian military, let me ask you a direct question now, hoping you can answer. If the Nigerian military genuinely, if the new chief of army staff, Tarid Lagbaja, genuinely wants to end oil theft in the Niger Delta, should he be giving order to junior officers when he knows that the kingpins behind this?
Because, look, listen, this war is being fought on probably different levels. In the field, those junior officers they are talking about are the foot soldiers. They're the ones there. They're the ones carrying out the instruction.
Of who? Whose instruction are they carrying out?
They are carrying out the instruction of the president, because the president is the commander-in-chief.
Okay.
Now, you can see a difference in the fight against stealing or theft between what transpired in the past, maybe using Buhari as a reference, and what's going on now under Tinubu. You see there's some progression. Of course, Buhari set the stage when he brought in Tompolo. Of course, because they realized that maybe they are seeing Tompolo them and the militants as having direct contact and influence on the people. It's okay, let's use you, minimize this. Crime is not something you completely wipe out. Minimizing it is what I think they're working on, even as they're talking about these small refineries that to come.
Artisanal refineries,
yes. Now, so, the thing is, I believe that the army has responsibility. If our police force was working, the army has no business, seriously speaking, because, of course, that is defending the sovereignty of this country, but external. Police has responsibility for the internal operations, but I think the police service is overwhelmed. And let's not pretend. Corruption is everywhere. And, the bigger the fish, the more difficult it is to catch. So I think that's what's going on. But
so if there are lists, I will ask again, sir, respectfully too, if there are lists that has been released that identifies the core oil thieves, according to Tantita, shouldn't the Nigerian government, from the president to the chief of army staff...
are you imagining that they are not investigating that list? Yes, you have a list.
So you
have a list from a good citizen. Let's assume that Tompolo is a good citizen.
Okay.
So he has wrote a list. But that list needs to undergo scrutiny. Investigations need to be carried out. You can arrest somebody simply because Tompolo says an oil thief.
So what about the owners of the vessels that has been burnt over time? Do they need an investigation to identify them?
I don't agree with the idea of burning because how can we lose the crude too? We'll burn it up. The investigations will take some time. to manifest, because merely having a list is not sufficient. And finding evidence, and the one who accuses in law needs to prove.
True. All right, we'll take a short break. When we come back, we are going to talk about police extortion and its impact to the society, because some people have made complaints and some policemen have been indicted and the Nigerian police force are coming after them. But that will be after the break, everyone. Stay with us.
to ATN Blowout. Let's get straight to the next conversation. Nigerian police force says police personnel who drop guns at Nigerians in order to extort them are not different from armed robbers. Spokesperson of the Nigeria Police Force, Olumuyiwa Adejobi, who disclosed this, said a crypto trader and influencer on X had dragged the police after his house was allegedly broken into and he was arrested forcefully. And the man claimed the police broke into his estate wearing normal clothes without any search warrant, taking all the men who lived there to the station while questioning them and claiming they were internet fraudsters. He provided debit alerts where they took some money from him while stating that they collected a total of 500,000 from all the men who live in his estate. In his reaction, another ex-user shared screenshots of an old comment by the force PRO where he condemned extortion by the police, while the IGP has has warned officers not to drop his name to extort or dupe Nigerians and not to take any gift to him. This is a sort of transparency in a way. The IGP is trying to come out clean and point, exactly at his men to call a spade, notwithstanding that they are still in the same fold, the police force. Now, is it okay to say that this can be a good reprimand to all the ugly incidences that seems to be coming from the police, the officers themselves that are into all of this, trying to extort from the public?
Yeah, first we need to acknowledge the police for bringing this into the public domain. What they are doing. Of course, if you are following the news, you're seeing how many policemen, just use Rivers for example, have been disciplined over time on account of stuff like this. And then you now look at what's going on around the country. I think that what the IGP is doing may not be new. That there appears to be some commitment beyond words, when you look at what transpired in the past and what's going on now. So for me, I think it's a step in the right direction. There's nowhere in the world you won't find corrupt cops. They're there. They're always there. And I am glad that they have hit the nail on the head. The one who carries a gun in uniform, who extorts money from you on the road, is an armed robber. The only difference is that the armed robber takes up position in bad places, like the police does, where they know you cannot escape their harassment, and then collect the money from you and vanish into the air. The policeman collects it in uniform. You understand? And you have heard, even before they disbanded SARS, you saw what happened to young students grabbed on the road because they're carrying their computers and all, without proof. So, I think it's a good attempt, to cleanse the police of rotten eggs and also to redefine the image of the police, because the police is supposed to be your friend, and that's their slogan. Yeah. But the attitude of some of those men who all joined us in order to have access to legal guns and official uniform, because those in the police are policemen. They are gangsters in the police. And if you say remove them on the road now, that they should no longer check and start and stop, see what will happen to you within 1 month. You will not be able to, because they need to blame the system for removing policemen from the road. You understand? But in reality, we have read stories about policemen issuing their guns to robbers for free. When they finish the operation, they return the guns. So I think the IGP is on the right course. If we must protect Nigerians, we must have integrity as a nation, and if we...
That if he's as a police officer or not. So is there no better mechanism that can be put in place to ensure that this is nipped in the bud?
Look, if a decent police officer needs to be careful, because some of those standing behind you as your boys will shoot you in the back, because you are bad for business from their point of view.
Wow.
Okay, and but I think that a time comes when you deal with issues. That time probably is here. They are dealing with those issues now, much more in the open. They are increasing trials within the room. Men have been taken to court.
The best. To wrap up the show today, let's look at SERAP. Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project has urged Senate President Godswill Akpabio as Speaker of the House of Representatives Tajuddin Abbas to reject the recently reintroduced social media regulation bill in the National Assembly. Serap said the passage of the bill would unduly restrict the rights to freedom of expression and privacy and urged President Bola Tinubu's administration to stop its effort to compel technological firms like Google and YouTube to restrict such fundamental human rights. In a statement by the group's Deputy Director, Kolawole Oluwadare, he said the bill would criminalize the legitimate and lawful exercise of human rights, adding that the National Broadcasting Commission last week reported that one of Nigeria's major problems now is social media and described social media as a monster. In the letter dated 14th October 2023 and signed by the Deputy Director for SERAP, Oluwadare, the organization said social media is neither Nigeria's problem nor a monster, adding that any regulation of it would have arbitrary and excessive effects and cause incalculable damage, both in material and human rights terms, noting that any move to regulate social media would be inconsistent and incompatible with the provisions of the Nigerian Constitution in 1999 as amended and the country's international human rights obligations. So they want that it shall take the National Assembly and the federal government to cut upon the passage of the social media bill and advise the federal government to maximize opportunities that abound on social media and look into the nation's growing social and economic inequalities. They further stress that Nigeria's constitution, any restriction on freedom of expression constitutes a serious curtailment of human rights, and they further added that such restrictions are only permissible when certain criteria are met, adding that under Section 39 of the Nigerian Constitution, Article 19 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, and Article 9 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights says any restriction on freedom of expression constitutes serious curtailment of human rights. All right.
Okay. All right. Let's deal with this now. Section 39 of the Nigerian Constitution has it to say that there shouldn't be any restriction to freedom of expression. And then relating it to
extra freedom we want. Now, let's get to the real issue. Israel is attacking Gaza, West Bank. Information on X, causing a lot of opera across the world. EU. The EU is asking for explanations, enforcing regulations in Tiananmen Square when an attempt was made to use the social media to upturn the Chinese society. Remember, the Chinese knocked off so-called social media and created their own. Because nobody wants to sit down and allow a group of persons turn social. One other thing to say, Sarah, every day they're going to court. I don't know how many cases they won in comparison.
Well,
it is nice. Very nice. But we should also direct energy in enlightenment. People should be enlightened. If somebody like President Trump could be knocked out when it was Twitter said no, we will no longer tolerate the kind of posts that are coming from a supposed international citizen like Trump. Then regulation is at the heart of everything that mankind has done. The development of law and all that keeps all of us in check. If not, it's not as you and I find once someone will come and carry and run away.
All right, let's talk to Jojo. The Minister of Interior, Honorable Jojo, said promotion into the paramilitary service under the Interior Ministry henceforth to require academic qualifications other than just passing promotional exams. Jojo, who spoke during the presentation of 10 books authored by the Commandant General of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Dr. Ahmed Audi, and co-authored by Professor Tayo Abuja. He said, the minister said, the best of people you find in the FBI, the best of the people you find in the M16, all over the world in CIA, they are alumni of some of the best institutions in the world. your qualification is going to be what we use to, then he may reference M16, FBI, and all of that. Do you think he has something he's trying to push across here that would mean something?
This would use necessary emphasis on certification because there's only one way by which you prove your mettle is by experience and practice. Okay, you can be on the job for more than a long period, maybe more than 10 years, and somebody